know that it's going to appear on YouTube. So for people that are not on this live, there's going to be like the first time. So if you constantly watch my videos, you realize that I'm always talking about the nervous system um resets, nervous system regulation. Why? Because majority of our problems come from, poor regulated nervous system. You know, when your nervous system is screaming unsafe, unsafe, you really can't get what you want out of life. You really can't enjoy activities. You're not able to attract the things that are meant for you. Thanks, Diane. You're not able to attract the things that are meant for you. That's what basically nervous system reset is all about. So I'm going to be listing out activities that I would recommend for anyone, trying to regulate the nervous system. And I'm going to save the best for the last. We have, gardening. There's something about gardening that, helps you to focus on what you're doing. Like when you're using your hand. Sorry about that. Sorry. And it's really important that you use your hand most of the time. You're picking out weeds. That single act, helps tune your brain into an alpha state. And, that activity helps reset your nervous system, makes you more calm and, more aware. And this is really, really nice. You have taken walks, and especially in the village. That's why most of the time I enjoy going to the countryside. That's my village where I enjoy, you know, just doing things in nature, walking into the bush, basically. That's what I do. Then you have jogging and running. And basically, this is one of the reasons why it's rare to see an athlete who really doesn't have, the things he wants out of life. And most of the time when they stop, the whole exercise activities, they tend to fall back to their old patterns. And that's like a discussion for another time. Um, we have, I think I made a list. We have, we have listening to slow music, dancing. You're, if you don't dance, I recommend that you dance. And really, you really don't need to know how to dance. Like just the attempt, just the movement of the body, doing something that you're comfortable with and you enjoy. You don't need to dance in public. You could always dance, in your private space. That's something I would really recommend. Hi, Magdalene. Hi. So that's something I would really recommend. Now, I said I was saving the best for the last. If you're just joining, I'm talking about, nervous system reset, activities. I mentioned gardening. I mentioned, taking walks. Hi, peculiar. I talked about gardening. I talked about taking walks in nature. I talked about um dancing. Dancing helps. You don't have to dance in public. You could always dance, you know, privately. You could always dance privately. And now we're talking about breathing. You're talking about breathing. Breathing is one of, you know, breathing is something that changed my life when I discovered breathing, and I'm really happy I did. It's changed, the way I see things, changed how I interact with things, how I stopped being in that reactive state and started being in the responsive state. I started being more responsible. I started taking care of things that really mattered. So yes, breathing helps in, resetting your nervous system. Your nervous system really has to feel safe in order for you to attract things that you really want. And I know that's what basically everybody wants, to attract the things that help make their life quite easy. It's it will happen so fast. You think it's magic, and most of the times, because I have a tendency of drifting, forgetting that I have the ability to help myself. Most times I forget because this is something that I'm constantly working on, it's something I'm training. You get it's like a muscle in my body. So yes, breathing is important. Um, we have yoga. If you Personally, I don't do yoga. I haven't started yet. I really haven't even checked out videos of it. But people who I talked to about breathing said yoga gives the same experience, same with Pilates. And if there was anything I would want to even try is Tai Chi. Yeah, so it's Tai Chi. So yes, that's for later. So remember, gardening, if you have like, an empty space of nature, grass, whatever, you could engage yourself in gardening. It helps regulate your nervous system. God is wonderful. You could engage in jogging. You could engage in dancing. You could engage in breathing. And most of the time, these activities vary for people. Like when it comes to gardening, when it comes to listening to slow music, when it comes to listening to classical music, Baroque classical music, Beethoven and Mozart, those kind of music. So yeah, basically that's what I would recommend. And let me check if singing and humming. Humming is also nice, also works, humming your favorite song, you know, you feel that vibration here, your chest, your diaphragm. And remember when you're doing your breathing exercise, it's good that you focus on your diaphragm, like you breathe from your stomach. You take in air and let your stomach expand, and you bring out air and let your stomach contract. So yes, thanks for being on this live with me, and I really appreciate. Thank you, Diane. Thank you, Magdalene. Thank you, Peculiar. Thank you so much, and I hope you really learned, or you have something to take back. Bye.